It's magic time!
Man, we're so corny. This is a new low.
Welcome to Hi-Fi. I'm Marcos, this is Kurt, and today we're talking about the Linn Majik DSM all-in-one streaming amplifier. Linn Audio, a highly regarded tech company that entered the audio space in the late 70s with the now infamous LP12 turntable that's still produced to this day. At $5,500 Canadian, the Majik DSM is Linn's entry-level all-in-one streaming amplifier. Don't let its minimalistic design fool you. This unit is designed to perform, and we're excited to put it through its paces. The Majik DSM features 100 watts per channel into 4 ohm using Linn's very own Class D amplification. It also has several digital inputs. For today's modern homes, you can plug in your gaming console, your TV, your DVD player, and everything. Literally anything you want to.
Even 4 HDMI inputs.
It also features a interchangeable moving magnet phono stage, or you can turn it off and use it as a traditional analog input. If you're concerned about hooking up your subwoofer, it does have a pre-out as well.
I was fortunate enough to go to the factory, which I really recommend anybody that has a chance to go. It is one of the most impressive factories that I've been to. And they kind of follow this minimalist design. When you look at all their products, I would say for a lot of people that have a more contemporary environment, it's really going to work for them. I will always say is the display on here. Get up going. I know it's very kind of controversial, because the one thing is it's just a regular kind of monochromatic light in the back, text in the back there, as opposed to having a screen. But one thing is, when I really think about it, sometimes it doesn't make sense, because you got this 2-inch screen or 3-inch screen, and from that kind of distance, even though it has all the cover art and stuff, you can't really read what's going on. So I'm actually starting to appreciate that a little bit more. This laser etch logo on here, which they spent a lot of money in their facilities to be able to do that across a various amount of products. The one thing I would say is, when you look at it, it's fine. When you pick it up, it doesn't feel substantial. That's the only, I think, one thing I guess I would have to say maybe negative about it.
When we first unboxed it, we took it out of the box, and it's maybe 5 pounds in total, the whole unit. Another thing I really like about the Majik DSM is the assignable buttons up here. You're able to assign all your favorite inputs and just quickly select that input. Another interesting tidbit is this button here actually scrolls, and you're able to operate or go through some quick settings menus with it as well. One other thing I really like about all of Linn's products is on the bottom they actually tell you who built it, the month it was built, and all kinds of interesting information about your specific amplifier.
And just to touch about on who built it, it is really cool. I've seen it for myself. The way it kind of changes hands, and just to let you know, not only are people handling it, they put it through robotic scanners, they put it through robotic electrical testers. It's pretty impressive. And then the person, he does the final build from start to finish in what they call their little hospital sections or hospital beds. It is incredible to their attention of a quality.
Setting up the Linn Majik right out of the box is actually quite simple, as long as your network connection is good. With the app, you plug it in and it auto-populates all your network drives and everything like that. So it's really nice and easy to get your music library up and going. It works off of a UNP protocol. So if you have, an Inuus disk ripper or any sort of network drive, it's nice and easy. It has all your usual connection interfaces as well, such as AirPlay, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, and Bluetooth as well.
The overall quality of the app, I think is really good, because it's really stable. That's always one thing I really look for in a lot of these units. So when you do the volume, it's really responsive. Of course, as long as your network is strong, The one thing I'll say, the app itself is not very intuitive. When it comes to navigating and searching through it, easily done. Playlists are easily done. The one thing is, just when you're searching for music, I think it can maybe kind of populate better. That's only one thing I would say about the app. But the most important, it is robust and it works very well.
The first thing I noticed when we hooked up the Majik DSM is just how clear the music sounded. It's extremely detailed and it was really easy to pinpoint everything that we played.
Two main things that strikes me upon this is, like I said, the clarity, but also the soundstage. I think was really a big positive in this unit. And I would say the only thing is the bass. I would like things a little bit more dynamic, or feeling that it was extended. However, though, again, the bass was really articulate. Nothing wrong with the quality. Just wish it had maybe that little bit more dynamics in there in the bass region.
A little bit more body, maybe.
Yes.
We performed our classic dB test on the Majik DSM, and at regular conversation levels, around 65 decibels, that clarity really came in. So any sort of music where there's just really nicely detailed instruments or vocals, they really came through. But kind of like what you said, Kurt, when it came to the bass, it did sound, like it wasn't very present, as much so as the vocals were anyway.
So at louder volume levels, I think it performed quite well. I would say you're looking at maybe from our position feet again, from listening position, which again is about 13 feet away, you're looking at a very respectable, about 83, 84 decibels all day long. You're going to be able to reach higher peaks, but I wouldn't say at very long levels. The one thing though is when it comes to being able to play for a long time at those loud levels, I'm sure that it's going to be not a problem at all.
Pretty rock solid.
Yes.
When it came to listening to the Majik DSM, we listened to a wide variety of music to see what it could really do. Two tracks that really stood out. Dorothy Ashby, this is my latest jam, just discovered this album. It's really nice and easygoing. The song off the album, Afro Harping, title track, Afro Harping. I really like this song. It's really nice. It's really airy feeling. It just makes me feel happy. One thing I've really noticed with the Majik DSM is just how clear and detailed sounding everything was. And there was a lot of hidden away instruments that you could pick apart and really figure out how big that staging was as well.
One things I really noticed in this track.
One things?
No. The one thing that was really strong in this, of course, like mentioned before, is the soundstage. I remember listening to on the tambourines on there. Usually when you hear this, it kind of just sounds to the right of the speaker. But when I was listening to it this time, you really got that perception of depth, like that it was kind of way behind the speaker, which I thought was really impressive. And the other thing was the bongos. Usually the bongos, and again, they're behind the speakers, but they're usually just really, you almost don't even notice them. Through this Linn Majik, it was clear and with enough kind of body and presence, even with something that was just so lightly faint kind of in the background.
The second track that stood out for us was Alina Baraz, Make You Feel. I always love this track because it's very, very slow, but there's a lot going on at the same time. Her vocals just seem to expand, especially with the Majik. They just seem to just go on and on and on. Lots of really nice decay and reverb. The other thing I noticed, the bass was not really, really big sounding, but it did have really great extension.
Really in this song, it really tries to create that kind of that big hall sound, and because the way this thing picks up all that small resolution, so whether it's the decaying of instruments that I found was really strong, and this track, even though it's more electronic sounds and process sound to create this effect, because you can pick up all those little nuances, you can really hear the venue in the hall, and again, what makes this really stand out to a lot of his other competitors.
At first glance, the Majik DSM is a bit of a hard amplifier to compare to others because it's in that like intermediate price point, around $5,500 Canadian. It's a little bit more expensive than its main competitors like the Unity Atom, the M10, or the Cambridge Evo 150. But then your next jump up, they're all above $7,000. So what I find is closest competitor would be the Naim Unity Atom. Usability wise, I think they're pretty similar. I find the Naim is a little bit more intuitive to use than the Linn, but the Linn app is far more robust to me. When it comes to comparing the Unity Atom to the Linn, to me, I kind of like the sound of the Unity Atom a little bit more. To me, it's got a little bit more heft on the bottom end. You know, the bass is a little bit more present. And the imaging is probably not as clear as distinct as the Linn, but I find it just a little bit more like full range, a little bit easier to listen to me.
I agree about the app thing, so we're agree there. Now, in between the two, I think I'd be a little bit torn on this one, because the strengths of this, definitely, if you're more into staging, I think this does a much better job, especially if you like that more pinpoint staging. And if you like that feeling, I say, like clarity and really low noise floor and low distortion, definitely this one, I would say, is stronger aspect in terms of the bass and dynamics. Then, kind of like you said, I'll give it to the Naim. I'll say with the Naim unit too as well. It feels a little bit more bolder sounding, but really when it comes to like the refinement, I give it to the Linn. So I can't say I don't also say like one's better than the other, but I do think that all those strings that I pointed out depends just what strings you like more.
When we're doing kind of like a level up comparison up to the NAD M33, the M33, I will say, usability wise, I think it's a little bit better. The Blue Sound app seems like they've spent quite a bit more time developing it, working on usability. Now, reliability, both are kind of the same. Sound wise, I find the M33 is quite similar to the Linn in the way it's very detailed and clean sounding. Sound staging wise, the Linn is maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper sounding to me. But I do think the M33 does have more control over the speakers, especially in the bass area.
For me, I pretty much agree with you on that whole thing, surprisingly. I would just say to add with the app, yes, I would say the app is overall better on the Blue OS. But the one thing I do like about it is this one is UPnP. So, which means unlike the Blue OS, you know, if you're to have a NAS drive in your network, this is going to automatically find it. You don't have to fiddle around with it, point it to it. So in that case, makes setup a lot easier on this. So we'll give it to the Linn on that one. And in terms of sound, definitely you've already kind of mentioned the way I feel. We both agree on that. The one thing I'd have to add to it is this one is just, I would say, more refined. It's got a smoother sound on the top end than even the more expensive M33. But in terms of course, in terms of the control, and even if you're looking for sheer power, the M33 is going to outperform it, and in some ways it should, because of the difference in price range. Because the difference in price.
The last comparison we thought would be pretty fair would be compared to a Hegel H190. Now, usability-wise, the H190 is quite stripped-backed. There's, of course, no app. It's more of almost a traditional integrated amplifier. Now, it does have AirPlay, and they are going to be Roon ready soon. So,
or supposedly
there will be some similarities in the future, but right now, usability-wise, the Hegel is more, you just twist the knob and it plays kind of thing. Sound-wise, though, I do find the Hegel just has this amazing bass control and presence as well. And that's one of the things I always find stands out with the Hegel, is just how much bass you get and how properly controlled it is. I do find the Hegel now, imagery and upper end detailed wise, is a little bit more rolled off to the Linn, where the Linn is far more detailed on the top end, and you really get to pick apart all the instruments on your staging. Whereas the Hegel is more, it paints a really big picture, but it's not extremely detailed.
Well, again, I guess I agree with you again. Yeah, so all the points you said, so we don't have to go over it again. I agree. I definitely agree with you. The one thing that I'll just have to add to that is I would say with the Linn, it's that compared to actually all the ones that we went through, even compared to the Hegel, it's just the ability to hear like all the decay. And again, this is one of the strong points in here. When you're listening to a piano and they're pressing that sustain, you can really tell when they're using it or they're not, and which makes this thing quite stand out in that aspect. Yeah, it's tough, and then even I just like Hegel also so much, and I also like Linn so much, and I guess this, I don't know, can you say really one's better than the other? App and stuff, of course, this has an app, and the Hegel, yeah, it really doesn't. You have to use a third, as of right now, unless you get ruined, you have to use a third-party software. Yeah. So Marcos, I basically agree with you when it comes to overall like clarity and detail. Give it to the Linn. Of course, just the control, and I would say one thing that you probably to add to that on the Hegel is the amount of kind of body and three-dimensionality to the music. Things just seem wider. Definitely not as pinpoint as the Linn. So on the Linn, I would definitely give that as its strength. And the one thing again with the Linn is that clarity that we talk about. So with that clarity, one thing is I noticed, like even when you're playing in a piano, when they're using that sustain pedal, you can clearly hear that when they're using it and when they're not using it. There's awesome ability to pick up all that detail and all that decay, makes this one of that's really strong points. So at the end of it, it's really up to you. Just whatever strengths that we've discussed over, the one that matters the most to you is, I think, the amp, or the one that you should put it on your short list. The only thing I would disagree is how you're saying with the Hegel was kind of rolled off, more rolled off. And it's not rolled off. If you were to probably even measure it, you're gonna look, it's gonna be pretty linear. Just that with Hegel, it's like this extra thing of like harmonics, and I think that's what gives body it and creates this more illusion of warmth, but not necessarily I would say it's rolled off.
We really recommend the Majik DSM for anything from a small to fairly large room, depending on what volume you're really looking for. Now, if you have a pair of really inefficient speakers, maybe you'll need a little bit more power than the Majik puts out. We also think the Majik DSM is for the person who has connectivity in mind. Now, this is one of the all-in-one players with the most options for connectivity, especially with all those different HDMI inputs. And also the fact that we touched on a few times with its UPnP capabilities. It's really easy to access all of your music libraries without, figuring out how to become a software developer on the side. Thanks for watching our video today on the Linn Majik DSM all-in-one streaming amplifier. If you have any questions about it or any recommendations on comparisons, let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a great day.